Oh, wow. Okay, the title of this video is not a prank. This is 100% true, and I still kind of can't believe it. But I've been wanting to share this forever, and I finally get to, so I'm so excited. Hi, I'm Jackson Bird, and I wrote a book! I wrote a freaking book! Oh my gosh. I'm still a little bit in shock. I wrote a book. It's coming out on September 24th, so soon, I know. Well, it feels soon to me anyways. And it's being published by Tiller Press, a brand new imprint at Simon & Schuster, and you can pre-order it right now. It is on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, or your favorite local independent bookstore. You can check all of those links down in the description box below. How wild is that? I wrote a book that you can pre-order. This is so weird and so cool. You might want to know what it's about before you pre-order though. That maybe, right? Okay, let's start with the cover reveal. Kind of like a gender reveal. Have we talked about how trans people just need to like take back the term gender reveal to refer to our coming out parties? I'm so on board with that idea. Also on board with the podcast Gender Reveal, hosted by Molly Woodstock. You should all listen to that. But okay, back to the cover of my book. My book. I have a book. So weird. Alright, here is the cover. Sorted. Growing up, coming out, and finding my place. A transgender memoir by me, Jackson Bird. Again, coming out September 24th from Tiller Press. So it's sorted, like sorted by the powers that be into a gender at birth and sorted into all sorts of labels I didn't necessarily fit into as I grew up. And also like trying to sort myself into labels and communities that fit better. And eventually, as I grew up, kinda sorting it all out. Figuring it out. And yes, it does also refer to being sorted into a Hogwarts house. You really thought I'd read a book and not mention Harry Potter? I mean, are you new here? But alright, so it's a memoir, it's about me and my story, yes, childhood up until last year, but it's also going to include all kinds of little sidebars of information, filling in the gaps on some transgender concepts, history, and other relevant issues that I think people should know about. There's gonna be lots of pictures and scans from my actual journals dating back to age 6. If you've been seeing me posting some of those on Instagram stories, now you know why. So that's kind of the idea of what the book is about, but let's talk for a minute about how I got here. So some of you might remember way back in 2015 when I started raising money for top surgery, and I did a whole bunch of different things. I was selling my old stuff, I made merch, I was digitizing people's home videos, I took on a lot of extra work on top of my then full-time job, and had been saving for a few years. In the end, I started a crowdfunding campaign on GoFundMe to help with what I still needed, and I felt really weird about doing that, and I wanted to give something back to the people who were generous enough to support me with their money, so I said that I would write a zine. I would call it Free My Nipples, the story of my chest. And it would just be like some musings on top surgery and that part of my body, like that kind of thing. I thought I would write, I don't know, like 5 to 10 pages and send it out to people before my surgery happened, no big deal. Well, once I sat down to actually write, it turned out I had a lot to get off of my chest. I ended up writing like 75 pages and taking way too long to send it out to donors, so if you were one of them, thank you again for that. But it was so well received by donors that I started to make more copies and sell them at conferences that I went to and eventually on my merch store with DFTBA. But also, behind the scenes, I was thinking about how I might expand it into like a proper full-length book and get it published. Writing it had just been such a good sort of like healing kind of process, and I just wanted to like do this project more justice. Plus, lots of people, both trans and cis alike, kept telling me like how much it resonated with them, so I thought, you know, hey, maybe my story will help some folks and maybe teach people some things. I did have some reservations though. Like, does the world really need another white trans guy YouTuber memoir? And who am I to even be writing a memoir at 28 years old? Do I want all of this private, personal stuff recorded forever in print and reaching a larger audience? Honestly, I could answer all of those questions with no. The world doesn't need this book. Stop fooling yourself. And I did. A lot. It has been years of me going back and forth on whether I actually wanted to do this, like lots of meetings with folks and thrown out book proposals and pivoting to other types of projects. But here's what I've settled on. Do we need another white trans guy YouTuber memoir? Well, we do need more stories from trans people of color, from non-binary people, from trans people with disabilities, and on and on and on. We need so many more of those. I'll put a list of some of my favorite books from those voices in the description box, and you should totally recommend your favorites in the comments below as well. But I will also say that, like, even if it feels like every other trans person is writing a memoir, and it's kind of true, when trans people publish books, they're overwhelmingly memoir or gender theory, so it does feel like there's a lot of them. But if you were to stack up all of the trans memoirs, a lot of which are on that shelf right behind me, by the way, if you were to stack up all of the trans memoirs out there and compare them to all of the cis memoirs that exist, we still have a ton of freaking catching up to do. Like, the fact that you can actually list, like, all of the trans memoirs that exist out there, it's more than you think, but you could still actually list them all. You can't do that with the cis memoirs that exist in the world. I mean, with a giant database, yes, but the point is, we cannot have enough trans memoirs, and trans fiction, and trans authored everything else. We need it all. Every trans person is different. There are so many different ways to be trans, and so many unique experiences we all go through. We need as many of our stories out there as possible so that trans and questioning folks can see themselves reflected, and so that cisgender folks can stop imagining us with one monolithic stereotype. Now, as for the YouTuber part, listen, I didn't get this book deal because I'm a YouTuber. I mean, come on, folks. I don't even have 100,000 subscribers. There aren't publishers knocking down my door begging me to make them the big bucks with a ghost-written tell-all memoir about behind the scenes of my YouTube fame. No, I'm just someone who wrote a book who also happens to be a YouTuber. And one who, as mentioned before, does not have a huge following in the grand scheme of things, so, like, I'm really scared no one is gonna buy this book, so, like, please help me spread the word. Okay, thanks, bye. But on to my next insecurity. You know this is a Jackson Bird video when even a big, simple, happy announcement is a 10-minute long, self-conscious existential crisis. Who am I to be writing a memoir at 28? One thing that soothed my imposter syndrome fears here was learning the difference between an autobiography and a memoir. Allow me to quote Chris Edwards, a white trans guy who wrote a memoir. Yes, it's called Balls. Great title and design. The difference is an autobiography is about someone's entire life, from start to finish. A memoir is about a certain time period or event in someone's life and focuses the story around that. And furthermore, as most literary critics will tell you, a memoir is thematic and reflective, while an autobiography is factual and complete in some sense. So this isn't meant to be a comprehensive account of everything that's happened in my life, as if I'm some extraordinary person with so much experience. It's a story of part of my life, through a particular lens. In this case, through the lens of trying to sort out my gender. And yeah, I'm only 28. 29 on the 4th of May though, mark your calendars. But this is a coming-of-age memoir, so it's not trying to pretend that I've had life experiences I haven't. It's about childhood, adolescence, and young adulthood. And actually, the timing works out pretty cool for me personally, because I will be 29 when the book comes out. And I think publishing a coming-of-age memoir is like a pretty dang cool way to close out my 20s. To close the book on that period of my life. Also, and this is a weird coincidence, but it was 10 years ago, in 2009, that I first really learned about being trans and transitioning. So this book is coming out 10 years almost to the date that I discovered who I really am. I just can't think of a better way to mark that anniversary. It's so cool. Alright, but one last insecurity I want to address, and that is revealing personal and private stuff about me. 'Cause it's in there. There's gonna be stuff you'll read in this book that I have never talked about online before. But also, like I always have with my online presence, I established strict boundaries before I started writing. Like, you're not gonna learn a ton about anyone in my life except me. Just like you rarely see my family or my close friends or partners in my videos and on social media, they don't factor heavily into the memoir. I kept it as introspective as possible so that I can respect the privacy of the people who matter most to me. You know, with this semi-public career, especially one in which I talk so much about vulnerable parts of my life, I'm always gonna be a bit of an open book. That's just how it is. So I figured, why not let that open book be one that I wrote on my own terms? That metaphor doesn't exactly work there. Don't worry. Unlike with my video scripts, I have an editor on the book. But I am still nervous. I still have some doubts. I am definitely scared that this book is not gonna sell or that people are gonna hate it and I'm gonna find out I'm a terrible writer and super problematic. But you know what? I did it. I wrote a book. I wrote a lot of words, like so many of them. It has been a ride and I am so excited to share this thing with you that I have worked so hard on. So again, it's coming out September 24th. You can click those links below and go pre-order it right now. This is not the last you'll be hearing from me on this, that is for sure. But I'm gonna try not to be too annoying, but I am very very excited. And I would love if you would share about the book with people that you think might be interested in it. And like I said before, please do put recommendations in the comments of all of your favorite books from trans voices of color or non-binary writers or trans people with disabilities. Basically any books from people who aren't white trans guys. Let's get some great recommendations going on in the comments and jumpstart all of our summer reading. Okay, I think that is it for now. Videos are gonna start picking up again in May. I'm working on a very big one right now, but I'm finally over the main hurdle of writing this book, and that's why the videos and the podcast went on pause for a minute there. But things will be getting back to normal soon, so if you did like this, you want to hear more about the book and other stuff that I'm doing, don't forget to subscribe for more videos, turn on those notifications if you like that kind of thing, and you can also follow me at JackIsNotABird on Twitter and Instagram for plenty of more updates and thoughts and attempted jokes in between videos. Again, do not forget to check out those links to pre-order my book down in the description box. Thank you all so much for not just watching, but also just helping me get here. It means a ton to me. I've been so excited to share all of this with you. I'll see you next time. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I just made this video.